Yeah, I want to talk about a little bit, a couple of things you see online. You know, uh, I hope nobody takes this as me knocking the Marine Corps or nothing, because I'm definitely not in any way. But sometimes when people put out that they say I was in the Marine Corps, that's cool. You were in the D Club, right? The Green Club. Anyway, but there was this thing actually out about I don't know, a month ago when he had a shooting over in Sandy Hook. There was this Marine, quote unquote, that was going to stand guard over in the school with his uniform, and he got in trouble for being out there in his camouflage utilities versus in his uniform, which is you're supposed to be in your deltas or alphas, or not in the camouflage utilities in the Marines. If you go out in town. So he was standing in his camouflage utilities, but I kind of glossed over that story, and I was thinking, I don't know, maybe somebody's just a little too hyped up about being a Marine, I guess, in some ways, which you should be. But it turned out the guy was a total faker. He didn't serve like 2 tours in Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever the hell it was. He basically never even got an MOS. He wasn't. He went in the Marine Corps. I guess he went through boot camp, and he basically got out early or something as a PFC. But a lot of times, people even on the internet, they'll be saying, "Yeah, I'm a Marine," and it's cool. You could say that. I mean, I'm not saying you don't say that, but damn, the more somebody pumps that up, the less I trust them, because it's usually people who. They overdo it. Well, actually, even in the Marine Corps, the people say hoorah. Well, a lot of people notice. People will say hoorah, hoorah too much. They're like kiss asses, But I don't want people getting overly impressed with some of the military sometimes, because I don't want to knock it in one way. But a lot of times we got to remember it's a civilian soldier, and a lot of times people who've never been in the military, they work very hard and they're very supportive of their family and friends and their community. They're doing a super job, and maybe a more stellar job than somebody who's been in the service. I mean, I don't want to knock it, but you know what I'm saying. Sometimes there's when people don't understand what goes on, sometimes it's there's people in there that are screwed up, and they just get over. I mean, there's people like that too. Usually people tout that they were a Marine, or they just keep touting it all the time. Man, I don't know. There's either are bullshit, big time. Now, I got to say this too. A lot of times people are big time heroes that get over fighting medical problems too, or taking care of their family who have medical problems too. And a lot of times you could be just as much as a hero that way as, in the supposed battlefield. There's a lot of times that happens and comes into play. But I also realize sometimes, I don't want to mention any names here, but, people push and say, I was a Marine, I'm a veteran, and all this, they keep saying it all the time. I tend to think they're a bunch of bullshit, because it's almost like sometimes people, even in the military, that talk up how gun-ho they are all the time, they're a bunch of bullshit too sometimes. And it turned out that this guy who was, he was a Marine, but basically he pumped up all this crap that he supposedly did, and he was standing guard in front of the school. Because, I thought of that. I said, man, that's kind of weird, because maybe he just, I don't know, maybe he was just pumped up about what happened and, thought he was going to do the right thing. But the public kind of bites into that stuff. And sometimes they shouldn't. Sometimes they shouldn't. Because, the Green Club is actually, consists of a lot of different types of characters, good and bad too. And, one thing I always like to emphasize is the military is composed of civilians first. And civilians that understand the Bill of Rights. And civilians that work hard, and civilians that support each other. So, sometimes when you get this stuff and say, yeah, I was a Marine, and I was this, and all I was that. And, I mean, it's cool to say that, but if they're pumping it up a lot, I don't know. Don't trust them. Don't trust them. I'll say that right now. You shouldn't pump it up too much. You know, I personally sometimes I'll never really say it. You know, maybe I'm saying it a little bit on here sometimes, but and you know I talk about the guns because actually I think of guns as like golf clubs. You know, it's like a sport too. You know, it's like people into golf and stuff. It's cool. You know, it's kind of interesting too. There's a lot of specifications. You know, it gets into pretty technical in some ways, and even if you're reloading, it's you know it's pretty cool. You can do a lot of different things. It's more interesting than golf. That's the way I look at it. So, you know, so I talk about the guns, but, you know, if people get on the internet and they start pumping up, yeah, I was a Marine and I was this and I was that. You know, sometimes you got to watch that kind of stuff because I don't know what they're selling. You know, and I notice sometimes in the Marine Corps there's certain types of people that pump up the hoorah shit too much. Man, they're the worst ones going. You know? Actually, it's just a matter of do your job as hard as you possibly can, as efficient as possibly can. Make sure you support your other Marines. That's really what it is. You know, more than anything. And actually, a lot of people do this in everyday life. They could be doing that in their job and with their family. So, you know, I always got to emphasize, you know, it's the civilian side of the Marine Corps that's really the most important thing, because where the Marines come from, average Americans, right? Average Americans. It shouldn't like over glorify you that you're a Marine. It should be that you brought to the Marine Corps something because you were just being a really good, conscientious person helping out your fellow Americans. You know, that's really important. It's like somebody gets out there and says, I have to be in my uniform and stand guard in front of the schools. You know, that kind of smacked to me as something, I don't know, it just didn't sit right, but I never commented on it. But I just found out the guy was basically faking a lot of stuff, too. I mean, yeah, you could be a Marine and stand guard over schools and not put a big show about it. You could just, you know, say, I'm going to be around there during these hours and tell the school people and not be in uniform. Why would you be in uniform anyway? You want to be low-key, right? So, you know, sometimes on the internet, too, people will say, yeah, I'm a Marine, I'm a veteran, and all this kind of stuff, and as a former Marine, I'm this and that. And when they start putting that stuff out, you know, say you weren't in the military, you know, I think people in the Marine Corps would understand a little bit better, because there's fakers out there, and there's people, and, you know, I'm not trying to say, you know, you had to be somebody that dove on a hand grenade or something to save your fellow Marines, but the fact that you were in the Marine Corps and you worked very hard, and you did a lot of extra beyond what was required for, you know, supporting the Marine Corps and the people in the Marine Corps, you did your stuff. That's really what it's about. But, you know, people talk it up a lot. I'd be very wary of them. And I noticed, you know, on the internet, there's a lot of people that say that, you know, say, hey, I was a Marine, I'm a veteran, I think this is deplorable that they're doing this, and they're just playing up some bullshit, you know? Because number one, actually, where does the Marine Corps come from? The American itself. The American itself. Marines are Americans first. They're not Marines first. They're Americans first. Just that, you know, when you're in the Marine Corps, you understand you have an adherence to the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, civil rights, and individual rights of all Americans. And that's what we protect. We protect our freedoms. But, you know, you don't have to, like, walk around with, like, you know, a badge on you and a neon sign saying that every day. You know, you just do your job and you protect other people. So I'm going to say this on YouTube. I'm going to try to pump out a lot more information on this. Sometimes I'm not going to always put something out serious. Sometimes I see something that's kind of funny and I just throw it out here. But I'm going to try to put out some more useful information that people could do as a hands-on thing that, you know, helps the middle class more and more. Because I think this is almost like, YouTube is a great forum because just the sky's the limit, you know. Now, I tested something with putting out a little bit about Excel, a spreadsheet. Man, I think that went over like a sack of whipped potatoes, man, a bunch of bullshit. So, I don't know, I might put some other stuff about taxation and finance, and I don't know, maybe I'll do it through my cat, you know, Putin the tax cat or some shit, maybe because it's not so damn boring, but most people on YouTube just want to click on something that's funny, be entertained, say the hell with it. But you know, I'm not one that actually likes to you know, make shit too dry. I hate that shit too because you don't learn nothing, you know. But I think YouTube's pretty cool. So, but I just want to point out when people are pumping up the fact that they're a Marine so much all the time and in your face, you know, yeah, and I'm a survivalist and I'm going to some state out there in the West and, you know, we're going to go out there in my group and we're a Marine and, you know, or whatever the hell they were. They were like special forces in the Army or what. If they keep pumping that shit up to you all the time, beware of that garbage. Beware of it because people like, it's just like a job. It's just like a job that requires a lot of hours and a lot of hard work. That's what it is in a lot of cases. Because you know, most of the, you know, I wasn't in combat. You know, I was in some areas where it was like supposed danger or some shit. But you know, I didn't really have to go attack the enemy and freaking firefight them and shit like that. And you know, it doesn't mean you couldn't do it. Because I guess when you're thrown in the water, you can either freaking sink or swim, right? But, you know, I know my shit. You know, I know my weapons and I know my stuff like that. But, man, as far as being a super workaholic, man, I'm always a workaholic. I was like that before the Marine Corps, and I was acting like that after the Marine Corps. And I did a lot of extra work that a lot of people in the Marine Corps didn't do. So, I just got to say that. But if people pump up a lot what they did in the Marine Corps, actually, the people that are actually in a lot of combat, you won't see them on, you know, YouTube telling you, I'm in the Marines and I'm doing this and, you know, you listen to me. And they won't be on YouTube telling you shit. They won't be telling you. But I think in the future, I'm going to tell you a lot more about reloading stuff and weapons. And I want more people to get interested in it because it's a good sport. It's a good sport, man. It really is. Actually, shooting calms the nerves. It's like psychology. A lot of people think it's like, you know, something bad, but, you know, if they don't understand it. But actually, shooting is kind of like when you're going playing golf, you know. Well, not in golf, you get all pissed off, but shooting, you won't. You're chill. You're chill. It's a cool little sport, but just want to repeat, though, just beware of some of these people that call themselves Marines on the internet all the time. I mean, I don't know. They could be a bunch of bullshit big time.